The voice of the fan. Drop a bounce pass, throw down the rim rocker. Lay up off the glass, right past the shot blocker. I follow through like Kobe's is money. You can cash it. For news on LA hoops, come over to Peach Basket. Up to date sports, post game reports, debates and play by play coming straight off the court. The voice of the fan making noise, causing havoc. Zone a man up, you can ask Peach Basket. The Peach Basket. Coming soon on air, the Peach Basket. Where the news begins, we're dropping news like we're in the stands. Creative views from the average fans. The Peach Basket.
All right, it's Saturday night. That means it's time to run it back. We are running back NBA Week in Review. Brought to you by the Peach Basket, more than just another website. We are a group of passionate NBA or really basketball fans. And there's a lot to talk about today. But first, apologies for the technical difficulties. It happens. We do have a Peach Basket, so we're trying to expand our, I guess our budget a little bit. It cost $1.50 or so at the hobby store, and it's held up by tape, so it'll probably fall, but it's there. Like I said, lots to talk about, certainly lots of NBA news to talk about, but I can't start and ignore what happened today. The greatest upset in international basketball history. We won't go into a lot of detail about it because I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch the game. I'll tell you a little bit about why in a bit, but I do know this. Nigeria came into the game tonight a 30-point underdog to the United States and beat them by 3. The first time these two teams met was in 2012. And I'm trying to get the exact dates here. 2012. And they, in that game, they lost 156. Nigeria lost to 73. An 83-point margin. Unbelievable. Fast forward to today, Nigeria wins by 3. It's an exhibition. It means nothing. But, wow, that is not the way you want to start exhibition basketball in preparation for the Olympics. Certainly not a good look for the USA men's basketball team. Incidentally, and I didn't know this, but Nigeria's team is coached by Mike Brown, which I thought was pretty interesting. Former Lakers coach, current assistant with the Warriors. Congratulations to him, and congratulations to Nigeria. I mean, let's see what happens when the rubber hits the road when it's a gold medal time. But certainly off to a rough start for the U.S. National team. Now, I told you I didn't watch the game. We're a site dedicated to basketball, so it doesn't make sense that I didn't watch the game. It doesn't make sense that, I don't know that anybody on our team actually watched the game. Can't say for sure, but I know I didn't. And that's because, and again, we're a site dedicated to basketball. We'll always be all about basketball. But I was born in Argentina, and here's my Argentina hat and my Argentina jersey to prove it. So I watched Leo Messi in Argentina win Copa America. So I watched a little soccer today. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Just wanted to explain why I didn't have any more information on Nigeria versus the USA. So let's talk a little bit about the NBA. Now, we have been saying for a while that ever since the pandemic hit, a realization really hit me. Everybody was watching the same game. Nobody was at the games. There was very little distinction really between the so-called experts And you and I, man, we're watching the same game everybody else was watching. And I started to see some really good analysis from people on Twitter, from people on our site. And it was obvious to me that these are fan experts, man. These are just as good at dissecting the game as the guys watching it and the girls watching it, anybody watching it. And so, we call our group of contributors fan experts, because that's what they are. These guys are fans, but they really are experts. And when the playoffs started, we began to predict, right? Which is, what all y'all do, what we all do. We love to do that. And we picked every winner from the first round all the way up. And we want to now share with you our finals prediction. All right. I know we're 2 games into this, but they started, midweek, so we didn't get a chance. Our show runs every Saturday, so this is the earliest we can bring it to you. But I promise you, this was before the game started. This is what our team of fan experts thought going into the NBA Finals. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up a little bit. If you're watching, it might be a little bit easier to look at it this way. So, Suns versus the Bucks. Our team is tentative, but certainly picking the Suns over the Bucks, about 57% to 42%. You can see that the majority picked the Suns in 6, about 42.9% of them. And the next big pick, the biggest piece of the pie, was the Bucks in 6 at 28.6. Now, I'll tell you honestly, for me personally, I thought that Bucks in 6 felt right. Watching the Suns play against the Clippers, I didn't see a dominant team. Now, in the last game, they were dominant. They were great. But games 1 through 6, they didn't look to me to be a team that could really dominate. And, what we saw from Chris Paul in that closeout game against the Clippers, I didn't expect to see from Chris Paul. That looked to me like an aberration, a one-off. And man, listen, I'm happy to admit I was wrong. Chris Paul has been great against the Bucks in games 1 and games 2. Devin Booker's been good. Going into this game or this series, my thought personally was that Book, Ayton, and CP3 had to just be average. They didn't have to be extraordinary. They had to be average, which isn't asking a lot of them. They needed their other players, the supporting cast, to be better, to have good games. What the Suns are getting is extraordinary play from those 3 and really good play from their supporting cast. They've been good. What I want to do, though, is I want to take the subjectivity out of it. One of the things we do at the Peach Basket is we provide a power rankings that really are just based on wins and losses, strength of schedule. So it takes subjectivity out of it. I want to do the same thing here. So I just want to look at the numbers now when it comes to the NBA Finals. All right. So this is the Finals by the numbers. Now, the Suns are up 2-0. They won the first 2 games at home, which is what they're supposed to do. And I didn't really worry. I picked the Bucks. I'll stick with it. Bucks in 6 was my prediction. And I didn't really see anything in the first, again, not in the first 2 games, but rather coming to the first 2 games in the Western Conference Finals that told me this was a dominant team that could really beat the Bucks, who are a very good offensive and a very good defensive team. But man, in the first 2 games, they've looked really good. And then I dove into the numbers, and I was pretty surprised. Let me share with you what I found, and you can tell me what you think. This is a list of the regular season stats for the Suns on my left, and their numbers for the playoffs, first 2 games in the playoffs. And what you'll notice is their points are up, their field goal percentage is up, or actually the field goal percentage is just a little bit down, but their 3-point field goal percentage is up. Generally, when you get to the finals, it's all about defense, right? It's not even the finals, but in the playoffs, you see these numbers dip. They've dipped for, certainly for the Clippers, but for the Suns, so far in the finals, they're gone up. Now, they had the first 2 games at home, no doubt. But I look at these numbers and I just think, sustainability. Can they sustain this? I never thought that they could do this 2 games in a row. I'll be honest with you. I did not think CP could do what he did the first 2 games. But they've done it. So now it's about sustaining it. They had one dominant game against the Clippers. So far, they've had two pretty dominant games against the Bucks, which is pretty impressive. So the numbers show me a team that is playing, I wouldn't say above their head, but certainly playing better than average, which, I mean, that bodes well for them. That's great. But again, can they sustain it? Now let's take a look at the Bucks. And this was pretty shocking. You'll notice, right, for the Suns, they were up by, a little bit. Look at the drop in points. The Bucks averaged 120 points in the regular season. They're at 106 now. That's shocking. That's a lot of points. Now, of course, their shooting is down. Their assists are down. But everything else is pretty much right where it was, where you would expect them to be. So clearly the Bucks faced, a couple of bad shooting games. Now, you could point to injuries. Giannis, may not be all the way there, although he looked okay. Chris Middleton hasn't shown up. I mean, none of the supporting cast really for the Bucks have yet really shown up. But that drop in points is pretty shocking. I'm going to go back to the Suns real quick. So you see a +3 for points, and then the Bucks. Look at that. I mean, that's shocking. That's a drop of 13, 14 points. That's substantial, and that's kind of the key. That's the difference. So for the Suns, I think moving forward, can they sustain this? Can they keep this up? I don't know that they can, but we'll see. I mean, I got to catch up our little ticker. So we did the picks, and now we're reviewing the finals so far. That's our crack graphics department. So yeah, I'm not sure that the Suns can keep this up, but it'll be interesting to see if they can. So for the Bucks, obviously they've got to do better offensively, and hopefully little home cooking is going to do that for them. So again, I'm not particularly worried about the Bucks. Obviously they got to win the next 2 games at home. They've got to hold home court. Then it becomes a 3-game series with 2 in Phoenix, which would be epic. So that's the review by the numbers. I did want to show one extra thing that I thought was pretty interesting. In game 1, the biggest lead of the game was by the Suns. It led by 20. And again, right, pretty dominant performance. The Bucks never led after the first quarter. They only did that once when they faced the Clippers. That was in the closeout game. Then in game 2, they kind of did it again. And you can see the Bucks got a little closer, right? They led early on. They did in game 1 as well. But the biggest lead by the Suns was 15, and the Bucks never led again after the second quarter. So in the second half of both games, 100% of the time, the Suns were in the lead. That's pretty dominant. So the numbers tell an interesting story. It absolutely shows that the Suns are playing phenomenal, not above their head, or actually a little bit above their head, a little bit above where you think they should be playing. Can they keep it up? And so if I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan or a Milwaukee Bucks coach, I'm starting with that. Listen, they play great. They were at home. They're not going to keep shooting like they're shooting. They're not going to keep scoring like they're scoring. Let's keep it up. We are well below our average. Let's just get to where we always have been, where we've been all regular season, and we're back in this series. So, maybe it hasn't been a great finals so far, but I don't think. I mean, if Milwaukee wins the next 2 games, then all of a sudden you got a 3-game series, and it's all of a sudden a good series again. So I think that's what we'll expect to see. We'll see. Again, our picks, our fan expert picks are the Suns in 7. We'll see how that goes. So that was really it. The only other thing I was going to kind of pitch. The NBA finals are going on, and a couple of weeks after they're over is the NBA draft. There's really a couple of ways foundationally to build an NBA team. One is to bring in free agents, and another is to develop your talent through the draft. The draft this year is, every year is pretty exciting, and this is really where the season starts, right? It starts with this draft. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know college basketball well. I watch some of it, but I don't dissect the players like others do. Thankfully, one of our fan experts does. And so he wrote the it was actually, I wrote a little article that pitched his video where he reviewed the upcoming NBA draft. So I'll make sure to have a link to that article and video somewhere, wherever you're watching this, so that you can, if you're interested, take a look at what the upcoming NBA draft looks like and what it might look like for your favorite team. That's it. That's where we're at. Again, just a quick recap. Greatest upset in the history of international basketball tonight. Leo Messi and Argentina won Copa America. Just a little soccer / football because I can't not talk about it. That works, right? Double negative. And the NBA Finals. 2-0 Phoenix. The numbers tell us that Phoenix is playing just a little bit better than average, and the Bucks are well below average. It should even out. I expect the Bucks to win the next two at home. Let's see how it goes. That's it. That's our show for tonight. We are the Peach Basket. We're more than just a website. We're a community of passionate basketball fans. Our hoop stayed up, which is a good sign. Rough start to the show, good finish. Hopefully you enjoyed the middle. We're here every Saturday at 8 p.m. Pacific. We're going through a rebranding for our site. We really endeavor to be a place for all passionate basketball fans to have a voice, whether that be writing, podcasting, streaming. We're passionate basketball fans, and we want to make everything that we have available to you. Thanks for joining. We'll be back again next Saturday, 8 p.m. We'll talk to you then.